Well, hello there. I'm going to introduce a topic that I typically don't at the beginning of the year, but if you've got a little time to look at this, I think it might be helpful because later on we're definitely going to be using this. It's a calculus concept known as an integral, or it's sometimes, as you first learn it, you'll refer to it as the antiderivative. And let me show you how it connects to kinematics that we're doing now. We already know that the acceleration can be found if you know the velocity function by taking the derivative of velocity with respect to time. In a similar way, the velocity can be found by taking the derivative of position with respect to time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these and we're going to kind of turn them around. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate the displacement of an object based on its velocity graph. So let's just suppose we have a velocity time graph. It looks like this. This is velocity. This is time. And let's say we start with a velocity of 8 meters per second. I'll put units in here. Take you a second to kind of get this set up. And maybe we'll go down to negative 8 meters per second. And maybe we'll do that over 8 seconds. I don't know why I'm stuck on the number 8 here. But I just want to make a nice linear plot. I'm just doing this by hand. We don't need anything real fancy. So suppose we have a nice line that goes down just like that. And so that's describing the velocity. So we review some kinematics ideas here. So if we start at 8 meters per second, we end up after 4 seconds, we're stopped. That means we're getting slower. And then for the next couple of seconds, we start moving in the other direction. We're moving negatively now, and we're getting faster. And so we end up at the same speed, but in the opposite direction. So what's going to be helpful for us here is to put an equation to that graph. And I chose a line here because I figured this is Algebra 1 level stuff. We should be able to write this in the slope-intercept form. We've got an intercept of 8. We've got a slope of -2. And so this equation here would be the velocity is -2t plus 8. All right. So if we want to find the displacement that occurs during any particular time, we've learned the graphical way to do this is to find the area. We call it underneath the curve. So let's just suppose we want to pick 3 seconds. Somebody says, well, how far does this thing go in 3 seconds? So we will shade in this region. We call it the region underneath the curve. And that trapezoidal region there would represent the displacement. But what I'm going to show you is how, even if we didn't have the graph, we could get by just using this function to figure out the displacement. So we wrote the relationship between position and velocity up here, but now I'm going to write it in its inverse form. And what that means is we can find the displacement, that's a change in the position. And actually, when you learn more calculus, you'll know that this dx actually refers to a change in a position, a very, very small change in position over a very small period of time. But nevertheless, that's a lot like delta. The Greek letter delta is just our letter d. So we write this as, and here's a symbol you may not have seen before. It's actually an elongated S. It's similar to a summation sign, but we actually refer to it as the integral sign. So we call it the integral of the velocity with respect to time. So it's kind of a little lingo that you got to get used to, and the more you do this in calculus, the more you'll get used to it. But that's how we find displacement. We take the integral of the velocity function over time. And if we want to know for a certain period of time, we call that a definite integral, and I'll show you how we put those times in here. So for this particular example, we will put in our function for the velocity, and that is this negative 2t plus 8. I'm going to put that in parentheses. And then this little symbol out here, dt, is not something you operate with, but it is a symbol that you want to have included in your integral. And then the notation is, depending on the amount of time that you'd like to find the displacement for, you put the beginning time just at the bottom of the s, and the ending time, in our case 3 seconds, up at the top of the s. And then we call it what we refer to that as a definite integral. So here's how we actually do the operation. If you remember how to do a derivative for a polynomial like this, you just do that in reverse. So you imagine, okay, what function could I take the derivative of and get negative 2t plus 8? Now it turns out that there's an infinite number of these, but they all kind of start the same way. And we're going to get rid of the integral sign now as we do this. It would be negative t squared plus 8t, and then plus anything else. But I'm going to leave out the anything else part here because this is just an introduction, and we'll be able to find our answer without worrying about that last little term. It's actually referred to in the fancy calculus as the constant of integration. So here's what we do now. We're going to evaluate this function at each of the 2 times that I indicated here, 0 and 3 seconds. So in calculus, you'll learn to do it this way. You put a little bar or a little line here and say I'm going to put in a 3 and I'm going to put in a 0. And so the actual displacement is the difference between what you get when you evaluate those. So here again, we're almost done. So we're going to put in a 3 here. So this would be negative 3 squared plus 8 times 3. And then we put in 0. So this is kind of silly to put in zeros here, but we will anyway. So it's the difference between what we get when we evaluate it at the upper limit minus the lower limit. And so my math says this is negative 9 plus 24, that's positive 15, and then minus 0. So that means our delta x is 15, and that would be meters. I'm going to put units in since I'm about done. And just as a check here, remember what we were doing was totally equivalent to calculating the area underneath this curve between 0 and 3 seconds. So if we go up here and we do a little trapezoid calculation, and I have done this, I'm not going to show you now just to keep the time short, but this actually does come out to an area of 15 meters. So totally equivalent to doing the area underneath the graph. So let's do a similar thing, and maybe I'll give you a chance to practice this. Really the hardest part is figuring out how to take the antiderivative of the function. And it's going to be the same function. And if you start with the same function here, you'll get the same antiderivative. So let's see what happens when we go up to 5 seconds, though. So maybe I'll give you a chance to do this here. So we'll say, find the displacement from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. Okay, using that same function. So what I might recommend here is that you pause it, give yourself some time to work that out. I actually chose these numbers because I thought it would be kind of an interesting answer, and maybe one you'll make sense of when you look at the graph. But then go ahead and continue playing this, and I'll give away the answer once you're back. Okay, so was that enough time? If not, you should click stop and continue on a little bit. So I'm going to set it up just like we did before. I'm going to find the displacement. And so we write the integral symbol. And this time we're going to go from 3 to 5. And this same function, which was negative 2t plus 8. Again, I like to put that in parentheses. And then the little dt, it's kind of a little dummy thing, dummy variable out there. And then we're going to do the antiderivative. Now again, that comes out exactly the same as what you had before. So negative t squared plus 8t. And then you put the little line here to remind yourself that these are just, this is what we refer to as the limits of the integral, your upper limit and your lower limit, sometimes called the upper bound and the lower bound. But they're just the values that you put in to the function when you're calculating the displacement. So again, just kind of showing it explicitly here. Again, negative 5 squared plus 8 times 5. And then we do that same thing for 3 seconds. So this would be a negative 3 squared plus 8 times 3. And then you subtract those two, and that difference will give you the displacement between those two times. So look what happens here. This gives us a negative 25 plus 40 for a total of 15. And then here we get this negative 9 plus 24, which is also 15. So we get 15 minus 15 for a total displacement of 0. Now I said I chose that for a particular reason, and that's because I thought, if we go back over here, I'm going to shade this in, and I hope it renders okay on the screen that you're watching. Between 3 seconds and 5 seconds, those are those boundaries there on the graph. And when we say the area under a graph, we don't always mean under like we think of under, but here's the area for the first second between 4 and 5. I'm sorry, between 3 and 4. And then between 4 and 5, we've got an identical little triangle, but because it's in the negative velocities or down below the time axis, we actually consider that negative area. That's something that your geometry teachers would not want you saying, negative area. But if they know calculus, they'll understand what you're referring to. So the total area between those two comes out to be 0 because they're identical but opposite in sign. So this kind of a graph here with a steadily changing velocity, actually I chose that because if you're familiar with physics a little bit, you'll know that's exactly the velocity graph we get when we throw something up into the air. And so we have, you know, this slowing down as it moves up and then speeding up as it comes back down, but we have a nice symmetry to the path, and so you'll find locations on the way down where it's exactly in the same spot as it was on the way up. So maybe some of these numbers will make sense. So you can find lots of information beyond this video on how to use integration to find a displacement. And this integration idea has other applications as well that I don't want to get into here. But I think that's a good start for seeing how kind of the other half of calculus works. So I think I'll end it here, and we'll revisit integration at another time. Thanks for watching.